More money, you got less problems. At least minor ones, all your basics accounted for. Team elite I run with, I'm guaranteed to be Final Four. Less money, you got more problems. More money, you got less problems.
Good evening, back, bringing Albany communities knowledge. Tonight we have Bron Cook Barrett. Everyone in the Albany community knows him as Cook. I've known Cook since I was a youngin'. So to be able to have this gentleman on tonight is definitely an honor. And I'm sure throughout tonight, you'll get a chance to see why. But first things first, Cook, thank you for allowing me to interview for back, brother. I love you, and I can't wait to dive into your story.
I appreciate it, Ty. As we spoke about, I'm just humbled and honored to be able to represent the city, and our friendship goes beyond, which we'll discuss, and being proud. I'm like a proud father when I see you doing what you're doing. So this is something where kudos to you to keeping this energy going, because obviously people know this is the type of energy, that we need. So I'm proud of you for your leaps and bounds and your strides, brother. And it's going to be a good night. So thank you for having me.
Oh, all right. Good. Well, first I want to hit you with your first unofficial question, man. I always like to ask everyone who comes on, how have you and your family been surviving through COVID-19? We've been officially quarantined now for a year, a little bit over a year now. How have you guys been surviving, Cook? Have you been doing anything creative? Has COVID impacted you in any way? Let me in.
Yeah. It's been a double whammy. When I say a double whammy, my wife enjoys it because she's working from home, obviously, and my daughter's loving it because she's doing a virtual education, and she really loves the virtual education. I'm working at the job, so I'm out there. So it's sort of not much of a change for me when it comes to the 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7 mindset. But besides that, with the shutdown and everything, family time has been a blessing. Just being able to corral everybody in and do things. We always traveled, obviously with my teen night program and stuff like that. Every Saturday I wasn't working. We were down in New York, and we were, doing our thing and just living and getting away. The brakes got put on that. So that's been the biggest change, especially for my daughter, who's 16 now, because she was used to those bi-weekly trips, those getaway trips, and that's halted. So also, when I say double edge, it's good on the other side, because now we're home doing that family bonding where we're just sort of de-stress and talking about more intimate things, as everyone's probably doing. The games are out now, and I feel like I'm the Pictionary wizard right now, ready to, to take anybody on in Pictionary. But that is priceless. So it's sort of been a blessing for the family, because this time together, as most families are finding out, we're not going to get it back, and the closeness it brings for us. It's a special moment to be able to reflect on and say it made us stronger. It made our faith stronger, and we all grew from it. So it's been a busy time, a nervous time for me as a parent, talking to my daughter about the fear of the unknown. But I think we're in a good place, and it brought us closer.
Nice. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that, one, and two is just like to be able to what we are still going through, but what we have gone through thus far isn't normal. What I mean? So, I remember when we first went into quarantine or lockdown down here, it was just like, oh, we're going to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. This is a year later, minus 500,000 lives that we lost in the U.S. alone. Who would have ever thought that we would be here? So
yeah, you really can't make it up. It's one of those, you really can't make it on top.
Yeah, man. But I'm happy that you guys are alive. You're thriving. You're the Pictionary champ right now.
Yeah, let's go.
Is giving you guys more of an opportunity to mesh in a lot of ways. So
amen.
I'm thankful for that. Yeah. Well, listen, man, this is a long-awaited interview. You were definitely one of the first people I reached out to when I knew that I wanted to do the back interviews. For obvious reasons, because, I have a rich history with you, but Albany has a rich and extensive history with you as well. Mine predates back to Pop Warner days down there at Lincoln Park. But yeah, I'm going to get into some of that later on. I'm not going to spill the beans too early. But Let me see. I want to give you the chance to formally introduce yourself. I know everyone knows you. You're a man's man, but Cook or Ron Cook Barrett, what are you doing now? What kind of passion projects are you working on? Here's your opportunity to tell the Albany community about you.
Okay. Well, I was a 20+ year gang intervention specialist with the city of Albany. I am now with the county of Albany, and I wear a few hats with the county of Albany, but mainly my focus is doing alternative to incarceration programs, doing everything from cognitive theory programs with the probationers, job training, workforce development, just an extension of what I've always did with the kids, but now on a bigger spectrum with the county instead of obviously with the city. Besides that, I've been a consultant. I do a lot of consultant work. It slowed down obviously with the pandemic, but I've still been, a bit busy doing that type of stuff and just educating the educators and educating people on the culture of what I deal with and what we're dealing with when it comes to gangs. I just got done doing a collaboration with Showtime. They did a sort of a docu-series on Tekashi 6ix9ine and the whole phenomenon with what happened with him with the gangs and him snitching and all that whole drama. And that's currently just started airing on Showtime in a 3-part series on Sunday night. So I got a chance to check out the first part and the second part, and happy the way it's coming out. So that was also a big step, but I enjoyed doing that. So staying busy, Ty, doing what I love to do, staying in my lane, and just feel blessed.
Nice. Listen, well, I now, if I wasn't going to check that project out, I definitely have to check the project out because one, like I said, man, the work that you have been doing, I've got a chance to see it and witness it firsthand. So, right now you just putting your work out to the masses. I've seen you in the Albany community and what you do. One of the things, I'm not going to let you walk off from it is one of the things everyone loves you for is what you did with Teen Night there at Albany, among other things. But, Teen Night was a stickler in the community because it provided a safe place for us to just be able to go to. And I know Teen Night came pretty much probably right around the same time that I was leaving to go down to Charlotte. It was definitely around that time period. But
99, 2000.
Yep. So and it was just like, yo, you have been doing amazing work, and what you're doing deserves to be spoken about and put on every platform. So to see you on Showtime is going to be a major honor. So I can't wait to check that one out too, man.
Yeah, one love, man. Yeah, one love. I mean, the Teen Night, I don't know if we're going to expand on that later, if you want me to go into that history.
No, go ahead.
I mean, it's just when I started the program in 99, as far as the gang prevention with the city, the need for positive diversions were, obviously needed. And to be able to collaborate with the Y, to be able to get that building on Washington Avenue and start that there. People don't realize our first night at Teen Night, we had 40 kids. The second weekend, it was 80 kids. And by the end of the second month, we were locking the door at 8:30 because we're 200 plus. This is our 21st year. And obviously the brakes have been put on because of the pandemic. We're hopefully, looking to get the green light soon to be able to jump right back into this. But to have a consistent program for 21 years, dealing with the quote unquote at-risk kids nobody wants to deal with, and being able to keep these doors open and get the respect from the kids and vice versa, where they sort of policed each other to make sure that they didn't ruin a program to, always say, well, there's nothing for us to do. There's nothing for us to do. That was always a safe haven on Saturday nights, still is a safe haven on Saturday nights for the most at-risk population. I mean, I've been able to do stats with the program, and our highest draw, our biggest draw is the 12206, area code. And that's, West Hill, Arbor Hill. And even when we had to move the program from Washington Avenue to North Albany, we still got the majority, 80%, 12206. So to see those kids from those hardest hit poverty regions walk to North Albany, and the dynamics we have when you walk through the yard and everything else. So for those kids to say, come on, man, let's go to Teen Night, and to be able to, to provide that 21 years later. I mean, it's like I tell Dave Graham, who's my partner in crime there, it's like our baby, Ty. This is our baby. It's something that we take so much personal pride in, not for just saying, oh, we run a program for 21 years. No, just because of the relationships and me having a chance and Dave having a chance just to be like fertilizer on a seed just dropping what we could do on you guys. And now 21 years later, man, looking at what, you know, the harvest gave us and seeing yourself and the Omars and the people that, you know, the Eldons. And it's amazing to know that, you know, I had a chance to touch that and fertilize that seed. And I'm so proud for that. So it's a lifelong dedication. Love the program. The community's been great. You know, it's been a double-edged sword with the community too with that, but it just feels good to be 21 years in climbing, and we're looking to hopefully do it for another 10, 15 years and then pass it off to the younger generation to take the reins and say, hey, you know how we do teen night, continue this, so that safe haven continues out here.
Nice. Listen, maybe think about it, because if that was 99, 2000, so I went to Charlotte in 2001, and I think I'm maybe one of my first semesters back, I came back to speak to one of the groups there at Teen Night. But on top of that, after my freshman year, I left and I went to Morocco, right? And one of the things that that stands out to me about that was, you know, I got this package from Cook. Now I'm in North Africa, right? I get a package from Cook that had the latest CDs in it. And you know, that meant the world to me, because like I said, man, I'm in a whole nother country right now, but to be able to have those close ties to the Albany community from a person outside of my family meant the world to me. You know what I mean? So I don't know how many years has gone by since then, but I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, we're gonna put that up there, and that stub says 2002. So
nice.
we're talking 19 years ago, and the pictures of the young king right here. You know, the young king right there.
Nice.
You know, and then obviously seeing this Morocco stuff.
Nice.
You know, it was a trip for me, because I mean, obviously we'll talk about our inner city years and stuff like that. But when I was schooling and living in New York City, you know, the hip hop culture, man, you know, just embellished in it like most kids were back then, because of the intrigue of what was happening with the music. And, you know, I just loved it. And then DJ'd, and just, I constantly collected the tapes, you know, and whatever the DJs were that were selling the cassettes, I was buying them and duping. And then when I was up here in Albany, obviously every time I come to Lincoln Park with the little white Suzuki, we were always thumping something that was new. And then when you did take off, I always took pride in saying, man, I want to send him some New York so he can have a piece of New York when he's over there. And when I got the letter, man, it was just a smile from, you know, here to here on seeing somebody from our little city take that big leap and do what you did, buddy. It was, you know, I envy you that I didn't get an opportunity to go to the desert and see that lifestyle. But for you to be able to have that in your resume and the things you did, you know, just adds to who you are, my man. It adds to who you are.
Hey, listen, man, I truly appreciate it. It says a lot about who you are as a person as well. So I'm gonna give the flowers while you're still living. You know what I mean? Because not only for individuals just like myself, like you said, you work with a population of people that is typically discarded. It's like, you know, it's typically like, you know, we're at risk. We're the ones that's going to be problematic. But for I'm not even gonna say for whatever reason, because you have the compassion and the way that you are able to blend in and connect with us has always allowed you to one, get respect among the younger population, but to be admired by us as young men. You know what I mean? Trying to find a way and navigate our way up out of Albany, about a street culture. I think one of my first, I want to say, major public public speaking experiences was, I think I might have been in 11th or 12th grade, something like that. But we had a gang prevention panel. It might have been sooner than that, actually. But we had a gang prevention panel down at the Crown Plaza, and that was my first chance to really go out to go talk about it. And for me, at the time, I had really just made the transition for myself as a person who was running with OSB. And it was just like, you know, I remember telling everybody I was running with, it was just like, right now, you know, I'm about to go this path. You know what I mean? This, I ain't tossing it up with you no more, no nothing. Everybody kept looking at me like I was funny, but it was just like, you know, enough was enough. I've seen enough death. I've seen enough people go to jail, and it was just like enough was enough for me. And I remember going to go speak on the gang prevention panel with you down at the Crown Plaza, and it helped to build public speaking, my confidence that I had a different story to tell, and a lot of that traced back to those early times with that. So,
yeah, I mean the main reason why I would choose somebody like a Tyrell Hughes was because obviously, yes, you dabbled in that, you were surrounded by that, but the way you could articulate the change, the way you could articulate what's needed to avoid them peer pressures, to drop some seeds to those kids that were sitting there listening, because there was 1,000 Tyrell users in the audience that needed to hear that, you know what, I can be different. I don't have to be the same, or I can make choices that might be a little off kilter of what everyone's doing against the norm, but look what you can do it yourself. So you were the perfect spokesperson to have for, an arena like that. And, we did things at Livingston School. I remember bringing Warren Lane, Omar, just having these panels. And my main reason was because kids listen to kids more than they do adults. Most adults are being told, oh, you're supposed to say that, or you're getting paid to say that. But when you can hear it from individuals that not only look like you, but come from where you are. So when they leave that household and walk up the street, they're going to see you again the next day. That's a very powerful thing to do. So I appreciated you guys getting out of your safety zone and comfort zone to be able to say, yes, I'll get involved in this, because, it helped everybody there, but especially helped me get the message across. And my main mission of this was just awareness program and raising awareness and having kids thinking and just thinking a little bit more than just, reacting on emotion.
Facts. Well, listen, man, before I stay here too long, I'm going to get to these other questions for you. One, because this one here is also about me understanding your love for Albany, because for a person to do what you have done, I think you said 30 plus years just in gang prevention. Cook, what's your favorite place to visit in Albany and why?
I mean, boy, Ty. I mean, that was always like in stages, obviously, with my years. In my younger years, I mean, I grew up on Huffman Ave, Second Ave area. So Huffman Park was ground zero. So Huffman Park was always a place that had because I played Little League, I played Pop Warner, the teen center down there. That was home base, comfort zone for me growing up. Then St. Rose ended up buying that property, and there's really nothing there but the basketball courts and the football field, which is used sporadically. So, I mean, Hoffman Park used to be. Then it transitioned to when I went downtown to good old Lincoln, and Lincoln Park became I get a special energy and a vibe every time I go to Lincoln because of those many years of just the sweat, the smiles, the cries, and them tears, and everything I did with you guys. Besides that, I mean, you probably heard them all before, the riverfront, the parks. But to be honest with you, in the area, I want to say probably Thatcher Park, man.
Nice.
Like the overlook at Thatcher Park, I would park my car, still do. And it's sort of like, I can turn down my frequency. I can just de-stress, and just get some serenity. And then I look at the city, because you can see, you can see the Empire State Plaza, miles away. And you can see how small it really is. So it sort of puts everything in perspective, how, we're just, pawns on a chessboard, and all the stress we really have, just breathe a little bit. So Thatcher Park always did that to me. Nice. And just getting out of the city to be able to just get that serenity. So besides the many beautiful gems in my beautiful city, don't want to disrespect my beautiful city, but I know 20 minutes outside of my city is a place that's special. You wouldn't even know that you're in the Albany area, because you really think you're in the mountains of Maine and New Hampshire.
Yep. Yeah, and we used to go up there pretty much once a year, and it's crazy, especially from a kid who grew up in a household. We didn't have a car in the household and stuff like that, so to be able to take trips to a place 20 minutes outside seemed like you were going to a place 4 or 5 hours away. So yes. And they used to have it used to be a bus that used to take you up there to Thatcher Park, right there outside of the governor's mansion, I think. Yeah,
it used to take Delaware Avenue all the way down, and I used to get it at the old Handy Andy on 2nd and Delaware, and it used to cost us, 5 cents or 10 cents or 25 cents, whatever, and it would take us right to the park to go swimming and hang out and think we were in Pennsylvania, the Poconos.
Yep. Listen, for some reason, I think it might have been like 17 cents by the time it was my time. Because in my mind, that's what I'm saying. So, yo, I think it was 17 cents to take this bus. Yep. I might be wrong, but it was a minute ago. But yeah. That Thatcher Park is definitely nice. I actually almost died up there at Thatcher Park, not listening to my older brother, not listening to my cousin Smooth. I couldn't swim, and they told me not to go into the deep end. Right? They told me not to go into the deep end. And sure enough, here come some of my friends. This is probably my earliest lesson of not to follow other people. Because I decided, they're like, oh, come on, Rel, we're gonna go down here to the deep end or whatever. So I get out the shallow end thinking that I can swim because I can do my little thing underwater, but I couldn't really swim. They go down to the deep end, and at the time, Thatcher still had that. They had the high dive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yo, so I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, okay, really, my inside's like, I can't swim. But the peer pressure is swinging me this way. So it's just like, okay, well, you know what? I can't tell them that. I gotta go. Next thing you know, I'm all the way up climbing the ladder. And by the time I realized that really I can't do this, it's already kids behind me. Exactly. So I can't go back down. It's like there was one way to get down.
3 floors down. Yeah, 3 floors down. And then that splash hurt more than anything.
Yo, listen, I hit the water. I didn't remember nothing else. All I remember was a Smooth coming in the pool and grabbing me. And I kept kicking and screaming. And he's like, Tyrell, if you don't stop moving, I'm going to throw you back in the water. And I said,
priceless.
That was it. Yeah.
Priceless, brother. Thatcher Park.
Thatcher Park. Let me see. Let's see. Question for you. I like to ask individuals questions pertaining to education as well. Cook, during your time period, do you think that education saved you or opened up doors for you? Why or why not?
I mean, I would definitely say yes, just on a capacity of, to me, education is an everyday experience. And, learning is a process every darn day. And the day we want to really stop learning is the day we mentally die, man. So to me, being able to go to higher education, go to college, try college, I did Vermont, then I did New York City. Yes, it exposed. There was not only just the educational component of college, but just the being on your own, being out there in the real world. Getting that information and being able to overcome the process of having to be self-reliant for the first time, being away from the nest. That's a learning experience. So to me, education encompasses everything. And yes, every day we should learn. I don't care if you're just going to the store, if you're watching television, if you're listening to music, if you're not processing and really putting that brain to work and learning something new, or at least trying to expand your knowledge, then you're dying mentally because it becomes stalemate. So I just think education is everybody should take it to whatever level they need to, but be open-minded and just don't listen to the masses, because sometimes that M is silent, and so too many people turn into asses. So I just want people to realize that educational process, for me personally, it opened some doors, but also gave me enough to understand about life and how to play this game called life, to be able to say, you know what, I've been there, I've seen that, I understand that. And it just gave you really more tools in your tool belt to navigate life.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, you did Vermont, you did New York. It gave you the exposure piece. And one, I'm just sitting here thinking about it because I know when I went to Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte, I want to say, I think you and my mom might have been working at the same spot at the time for
175 Central.
Yeah, it was that Youth and Recreation.
Yeah.
So, and
Miss Pat. This is my Miss Pat.
Yeah, man. Listen, being able to get away, helped change and save my life. You know what I mean? Like I said, going down to Charlotte was everything. And it was just like, one, because like you said earlier, you're forced to become independent. You're forced to see what you're really made of. You know what I mean? A lot of people will tell you that they can do X, Y, and Z when they're in their comfort zone and they're around everything that they're used to. But you know what I mean? When you get a chance to be outside, you're forced to see how you're going to manage your money, how you're going to manage women, how you're going to manage confrontation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All of those things.
And then balance schoolwork and that piece. So like you said, man, it forces you to grow up, and if you weren't given the blueprint, like I wasn't given a blueprint by anybody on how to handle this life, So to me, it was all a learning experience. But like I said, every day we learn, so embrace it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, man. Let me see. Definitely in your personal life, like I said, because I see the responses that a lot of people give you anywho. So like I said, I see people give you nothing but homage and respect. And those are from some of the people that I know I ran the streets with too. And, you know, so I know that you're deeply rooted is where I'm going, deeply rooted in the Albany community is where I'm going with this next question. Sadly, Albany has seen more and more violence, and our communities have experienced a lot of loss over the years. Definitely 2020 was one of the hardest hit years that I've ever known of in the history of Albany. But Cook, here's my question for you. What would you like to see in the city of Albany? What is your hope for the city, Cook?
I mean, it's always what it's always been, to be honest with you, Ty, is just investment in youth, you know? I just truly believe that, you know, if a generation is caught up in a cycle of violence, yes, you do the interventions needed to help that generation that's involved in this, that's really in it. But this whole generation that's behind it is really the one that I like to focus on, because these youngins are just becoming products of their environment. So let's do more youth investment. I just think we've seen a really big digress in youth investment in our community for programming. You know, everything from just positive, you know, see, my motto always has been like positive diversions deter negative behaviors. It's basic. There's not enough positive diversions that are acceptable by this generation of kids. We have to change with the times. So offering basketball is good. Yes, offering basketball is good, but you got a population of kids out here that are still intrigued by their street life, that basketball is not going to be the draw unless it's, you know, minus 15 degrees and they want a place to stay warm for 20 minutes before they do whatever. So more youth investment. And when I say youth investment is the facilities we used to have. I watched 2-3 of your past shows, you know, DJ, Omar, and, you know, the common theme with a lot of what I'm hearing is, you know, when we were growing up, we had a teen center here, there. I mean, it's sad, but true. I mean, Ty, the investment in our youth, I mean, now it's like people don't collaborate up here unless there's a political, like someone's going to benefit from this politically, then maybe we'll collaborate with these people to start a program. And that's getting more of a problem in our area, where before we had you know, I know how politics works. Yes, this is, you know, political benefit is everything. I understand that. This is how it works. But we always had youth investments with the past people we had, where they believed in the kids and they made sure that they had what they needed, be it after school teen centers in every part of town to basketball leagues during the summer. And the brakes have been put on a lot of this stuff for our youth. So we really got to start thinking about, are we really investing in our youth? Or are we just, you know, going through the motions to appease whoever? So I would just like to see more youth investment for the right reasons and more collaborations and less silos. I mean, they've always been around, but I just think the silos are now getting stronger, and it's the communities are suffering because of this. Because the way I look at this stuff with silos, man, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it creates fractured communities. We have a lot of fractured communities, which are already full of fractured families. So how the hell do we expect to get ahead of this game if we continue to sort of ignore the fractured communities because it doesn't benefit you, or we really don't know what to do there, or they're mad at the ward leader or whatever it may be? Get rid of politics for the sake of our children, and our kids will see there's a better way, and our kids will believe that, hey, my city cares about me. There's people in my community that are being mentors, that are there, that I believe in. And that brings us back to our generation when we were working with you guys. There was that meeting of halfway of, yeah, you know, I trust this adult. They're really in it for the right reasons, and I'm going to buy in what they're selling. Right now, the kids aren't really buying what people are trying to sell in our communities. So we really got to think of a way how we can hit these kids that are saying no to positive diversions because maybe it's not the only thing they like to see. They like to do something else. Well, ask the kids, survey the kids, start talking to the kids. You know, what is needed in our community? What would you like to see? And the kids will tell you. I mean, that's how we prospered our team night. We said, listen, you know, yes, we're providing basketball. What else would you like to do? Oh, Cook, man, we want video games. So we made sure we got video games. All right, that was easy. What else you want to do? Girls said, we want to do a fashion show. We got together, did a fashion show in a gymnasium, let the girls donated clothes. They had a catwalk set up. It was beautiful. They all dressed to the T's. So just think of how we can invest in our children more in our city of Albany, and stop thinking of the other end of the spectrum, which is the bickering and what we're seeing politically nationally, unfortunately. And start serving these communities that need it. start putting more in these communities. It's easy, Ty. It's easy. I mean, I remember when I started Livingston Teen Center back in 94. Livingston didn't have a teen center in school. I was working at Livingston. We found out that once school closed, most of the kids were rushing outside, and we were dealing with the aftermath of the kids meeting outside of school and settling their differences because one was from the yard, one was 868, and next thing you know, we were dealing with all that drama. And we finally put our heads together and said, what if we keep the safe haven, which is a school, open until 9 o'clock every night? And we'll close the doors for different parts of the building, so it's just not open school. We'll keep them contained to the area where the gymnasium, the weight room, we put a boxing facility, we had a computer room, and we started a teen center. And that teen center just gave these kids a safe haven from 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock, where their parents knew they were in a structured environment. They could get that extra stress out, because a lot of these kids, as you know, are lock-key kids that are out there. They're out there just walking the streets until 7, 8, 9 o'clock. So give them places, harness them. We really have a neglect on those places where we harness our kids with positive diversions.
I like that. I like it. And one of the people I interviewed maybe 3 weeks ago, Mojave, who does a UGT.
Yes,
so, and he was just saying, he said, listen, there is a lane and a pocket for every type of child in any community. It was like, basketball is not going to do it for everybody. Games is not going to do it for everybody. We need to have more exposure and more diversity among places where our kids can actually go. Like we need to be able to have a musical outlet for the kids. We need to be able to have a basketball outlet. We need to be able to have a robotics outlet. All of these different outlets for the kids, so that you have options, man. Every person, at least 7 or 8 of the people that I'm thinking of right now said the same thing, which is like, what happened to the rec centers? We had the Boys and Girls Club. When I was coming up, we had Brandon Graham over here on Delaware Ave.
Right.
And what he did for us changed the game, because it was a safe space, but he also made sure that we were thorough. So it was just like, shout out to my man BG. But if we had an argument or a debate, we had a boxing room back there in the back. Like, go on, put your gloves on and duke it out. And guess what? Y'all can be friends right afterwards. But, when we went on for the intramural leagues to go play basketball up at St. Joe's or down in the yard at the rec center, he prepared us for all of those things. We go into different parts of the community. Y'all be okay. And we felt comfortable going with him because we know that we were great underneath his leadership and tutelage.
Exactly. And youth development is just nurturing the strengths, just nurturing the strengths, finding these kids' strengths and nurturing to be whatever everything you just said. So if we don't have the facilities to engage them, to be able to say, okay, now we can help nurture these strengths so they can grow and develop, then we're spinning wheels. We're spinning wheels, and they're finding that stuff in the streets, unfortunately, and we're reaping what we harvest there.
Okay. Yeah, and we got to change. I got a question for you, especially since you grew up over there down there off of 2nd Ave. How did growing up in Albany prepare you for adulthood, Cook?
Well, I think the biggest plus from my area and growing up in Albany was, as I mentioned earlier, we had Huffman Park, which was ground zero. Little League, Pop Warner. So everything was a block away for me to walk. That was full of role models. That was full of mentors. That was full of parents who didn't get paid to coach, who gave me everything that when my dad wasn't around, they would give me. So that gave me the sense of community. I think Albany really taught me what community can do. And when you have strong families, you have strong communities. So I think Albany taught me that. It also put in perspective like small city versus big city. Because when I had an opportunity to stretch and travel and go to Mecca, I seen that big city component, but Albany prepared me to know the difference of, Albany is a small community like the speakers you're having on for your show. It's a small circle. Everyone knows each other. We're like 2 degrees of separation. You know what I'm saying? And when you stretch yourself out and you're living in Brooklyn or Manhattan, it's not like that. So you sort of admire that smaller setting. Yes, that family atmosphere, that community atmosphere, which you always want to harness, and it prepares you to be able to expand on that when you get to that bigger city and what community could mean, because there's still communities in bigger cities and there's still a communal, mindset that is needed, obviously, for everybody to coexist and get along. So Albany prepared me well because it showed me what a strong community can do.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yo, and to be honest, a lot of people overlook the fact that there's so many benefits coming from a small place. Like I said, man, your competition isn't on a grand or a wide scale as it could be in a larger city.
Yeah.
And your capacity to have more one-on-one time with teachers, with programs, all of those things help to build you up to your benefit. And it's kind of like, some people always be like, oh man, you're not from New York because you're from Albany, or you're not from New York City. Listen, there's a lot of benefits of being from a place just like Albany. That's why, regardless of where I am in the world, Albany is my heart, because like you said, in my opinion, it gave me everything that I needed to be able to survive wherever other place that I've lived, regardless. And it's just like, yo, you get that in a small community. You understand the beauties of it, of how that community aspect really can be. The nostalgic feeling of what Albany used to be like is what I'm thriving, is what I can't wait to see a comeback, because it deserves it. It deserves it.
I mean, and that's the biggest issues that we're dealing with, is just a breakdown of community. So, when the old, the additive of, your neighbors were always looking out for other people's kids, the little birdie always looked out the window and told your mom when you got home, they knew. That's missed, that's sorely missed, where we're, not too many adults are locking the doors and peeking out the window, where before that door was open and they'd welcome you in and give you something to drink and ask how your parents were doing. And that sense of love right there is something that we all look for. That's the number one thing in nurturing, is love, and respect and belonging. And that sense of belonging, love, and respect was something different. And Albany had it. So like you said, let's get it back. Let's strengthen these families and get it back.
Okay. Let me see. Success is measured in many different ways. How do you measure success, Cook? And what keeps you motivated?
Well, you guys keep me motivated. It's always been the youth that keep me motivated, because I always wanted to be that guy, Ty, that in a world where so many people are trying to keep everybody down and keep you down, I want to be the one to help lift you up. So that was always my motivation, to be able to just lift up and be an extension and just serve. I just feel we're all vessels, and I just wanted to be able to serve. My capacity was always in the inner city, because that's where I felt most comfortable, to be honest with you, And it's funny because, sometimes you have to be hated before you can be loved, And I remember when I first went down to coach with you guys, people from Whitehall and Huffman Park, or Albany Pop Warner, like, what do you mean you're going to inner city? And it was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I'm just going where I was asked to coach, and this is what I'm asking to do. So my successes and everything else is basically about being persistent in what I've been doing, and being able to be consistent in what I do, and seeing the small wins, and knowing that there's no magic potion or magic pill on what I'm doing and what we're doing to help the kids we work with. So success to me is just being able to stay in your lane, wake up every day and don't think of it as a job. I mean, I really don't wake up and every morning, oh man, it's Monday, I got a whole week. I mean, to me, every day is a new adventure. Every day I'm out here doing something different. It's spontaneous. I don't know what's going to happen. I know what my plans are, but to be able to live and work in a spontaneous environment and then see the results, it may take 6 months, it may take a year, it may take 2 days, but to see results of somebody who, it could be a truancy issue, all of a sudden they're going back to school. It could be a police contact issue I'm dealing with. Next thing you know, they haven't had a police contact in 6 months. These small wins that you just garnish, the small wins just keep building and festering to where it becomes like I told my wife, the kids and my work is sort of like a fungus on me. I just can't get rid of it because, it's a 24/7 type of a process where you're constantly thinking of the kids, what you can do more, and just continue to give and serve. So success to me is just being happy in what you're doing. I'm a struggling social worker. Lord knows the money doesn't come in like a social worker should be making in the work that they do in our field and in our society. So it's not the money to me that is success. Success to me just breeds in your mental state of mind. And if you're happy and you're really passionate about what you do, and you see people responding to what you're doing in your field of work, then to me, you're being successful. There's no magic potion. You're just being successful by being that person that they're going to rely on, they believe in, and hopefully they turn to in time of need. And in 30 years, man, it's proven that, yes, they're turning and they're asking and I can help. And, whatever role I can play in someone's life, let me continue to do what I'm doing. And I'm happy doing it. So to me, that's success.
Yes, you made me think of something where you were saying about just staying in your lane, right? It's just like we all have gifts. Me and my wife just had this conversation earlier today. Now, God gives each of us gifts. We all got gifts, right? And like I felt like for mine, when I graduated from Charlotte, it was just like I knew what I was coming back to Albany to do. So It was just like, you know what? So to create Model there, would be like an additional extension of what you guys were already doing at Teen Night. And then you would say, actually, it could probably even work in cahoots with one another, because during the week, you'll say, Monday, Wednesday, or whatever activities we got going on at Model, on Teen Night on Saturday, you guys got another additional place to go ahead and go.
Amen.
And that was my love, man. It was just like, because I can directly relate to their struggles because one, by the grace of God, I made it out of that myself too. But it was just like, they need to see people that look like them that they could trust in and believe in to show them another way. And it was just like, I get that. That's in right now, but that's only going to be in. Don't get caught up in the end right now. Get caught up in the long game. Like, you want to survive. You want to be able to make it to another fruitful place of life. And it's a lot more life outside of the normal blocks that we walk here. And
exactly. And that what Model provided, Ty, what you guys were doing. That's what I mean about the youth involvement and the youth investment, because I can just think, brother Youssef and Youssef coming and saying, Cook, I want to stop by Teen Night. I'm recruiting 7 kids because I'm going to the Adirondacks and doing some rafting. And I remember sitting down with these kids at Teen Night and saying, man, guys, this is brother. Yeah, I don't know Brother Youssef. And Brother Youssef, here's a room, give him some pizza. And they talk. Next thing you know, the kid come out, yo, Cook, man, I'm going rafting tomorrow. And I'd be like, there we go. And to me, that's community. That's everybody just providing something which is their lane, their expertise, and kids believing in the people that are providing it. And, my whole thing is persistence overcomes resistance. So a lot of these kids, man, they'd see so much of us and we're so persistent at what we were doing, they couldn't resist anymore, because they know darn well they're going to see me in school. They're going to see me at the Teen Night. They're going to see me when they get locked up at the county. I'm not going nowhere. So come on, man, buy into what I'm selling. Come on, there's more to life out here. And it wasn't just like, okay, now what can I do with them? We had all these tentacles on the octopus. You'd grab your faction. We had after school programs that were doing A, B, and C, and D. Like I said, brother, you doing everything with the nature. It was just, oh man, Ty, it was a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Hey, he used to be too funny, man. Rest in peace to be you. He used to be too funny all the time. I always tell him same thing. Once again, I stay in my lane. I was like, be you. You know what I mean? I'm coming. I'm supporting. I'm going to be a part of these endeavors too. But mentoring is my thing. It's just like So when you want to have those intimate conversations, or you want to be able to touch a kid in that capacity, I'm your guy for that. Let's go ahead and do that. And then it'd be like, because I can't tell you how to kayak or X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
But I'm plugged in with the people who know how to do it, and we're gonna go ahead and collaborate and do it. When we first started going camping at Lake Taconic, it was too funny. It was I think BU came down, Tom Perez, Scooby, Antoine. There was a whole bunch of us down there, and and it changed the game. So every year before the school started, we would bring our students down to Lake Taconic for that weekend before school started, and then we would go ahead and give them books and like notebooks, book bags, and stuff, and supplies for the upcoming school year. But being able to just get out of Albany for a little while, to be able to camp, put your tent up, was just like I was learning at the same time as these guys. It was like, man, I ain't got these skills. So
that's what I'm saying. Like you said, you were taking it all in like a kid, just like the rest of them. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, man, just having that cross section for the youth, to me, is priceless, and that's what we need more of.
Okay. What about your life's path are you most proud of?
I would say, going back to what I said about just being able to be, consistent for these number of years in what I do, and just being able to keep my eye on the prize, which was just taking individuals to the next level, whatever their life was at that time. To me, that's the biggest thing, man, is just the consistency, because I've seen in many cities, because I've done a lot of travel with consulting and stuff, where, the lifespan for a lot of programs in urban America aren't really that long. A lot of them will be grant funded for 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden they'll belly up, or there'll be a successful program, but then an incident will happen where all of a sudden they lose funding because of a certain incident, be it violence or whatever. So just being able to keep things going with the program and be consistent in my message and what I'm doing. The craziest thing, buddy, man, in all this journey is I'm now working with kids and meeting kids, and I work with their parents, and so, I mean, it's like I'm down on probation. My office is at probation, where I do my work, and fathers will come in with their sons, or mothers will come in with their sons. Come on, we got to go see Mr. Cook. And I look up and I'm like, oh yeah, it's my son Cook. Will you talk to him? And I sit there and I'm like, man, oh my goodness. I remember, talking to the mom outside of Harriet Gibbons after a fight when she was 15. And now the son's 15, coming in my office, and mom wants me to talk to that son and try to redirect the knowledge and the focus on what could be done for better choices, man. So to me, that's what I'm most proud of, is that another generation is coming through the door. I have enough, but I don't want to call it buy-in, because I have enough of relationship built with your generation, who are now the parents of these kids. The credibility piece, so that I can continue to do what I'm doing, be trusted for what I'm doing. And that's really what I'm proud of, is that whole consistency and being able to touch many generations and continue to do what I love to do, and see the results, my man. See the results of people like yourself, and people that, come on, man, youth investment is real. This isn't a study. This isn't a evidence-based thing that we're doing. This is life. And to see people be able to get the tools to navigate this and end up on our feet and be young professionals, and knowing that you had a piece in that, and still being able to do that through your consistency, and even using some of the same methods 20 years later, I'm proud to be able to continue to stay in the game.
Nice. You also mentioned a little bit about your travels earlier, Cook. How has traveling or relocation impacted your worldview?
I mean, leaving the United States, my wife has family's from Ecuador in South America. So that was like really my first eye opener as far as abroad, because I got to see how spoiled we are as Americans. Going to a third world country, Ecuador there's really no middle class. You either have it or you don't. And so going to my wife's family and being exposed to no running water in the house. When you take a shower, you got a heating device on the shower head to make the water that comes out, hot. And to me, that's being electrocuted. So I couldn't put that together. Why do you have an electrical device up in here, and you're telling me to turn us on an electric device which is going to heat the water coming out? So, and having to go to the bathroom and use a basket instead of flush in the toilet. And not drinking the water when you brush your teeth, and make sure you don't, because you might get sick. But also seeing how happy and genuine these people were, and how they didn't need the material things that unfortunately in America kids feel they have to keep up with everything. Just seeing that really opened my eyes, man. Where I was given dollar bills everywhere, and my mother-in-law was like slapping my hand saying, stop, don't do that. And I was like, what do you mean? It's $1, or it's like a nickel, or it's just gum. Because these kids just wanted anything American. They just wanted anything that they, and it humbled me to see how really spoiled we are. We live in a microwave society where if we don't get things quick, we get upset. And it opened up my eyes, man. Traveling really opened my eyes up to be humble, as humble as you can, but remind yourself you have to be humble, because we're conditioned to expect, and we're conditioned to live in this type of society. So to see that end of the spectrum, it really opened my eyes to a lot when it comes to poverty, and it comes to real poverty, and it comes to countries that, people were climbing the telephone poles at 11 o'clock at night and turning the power off for the whole communities just to send a statement to the government. And I was like, well, you guys are the ones, you're doing it to each other. And they're like, yeah, they do it all the time. They're trying to send a statement to the government. And I was like, wow, man, what a way to live. But yet you are the happiest, family-oriented, valued people. Your compassion is just beautiful, man. So that showed me that there's a lot more to to what you may think in life and the way we have it out here. And that also adds to why I do what I do, man, because, you know, we're all here to serve, and we're all here to lift somebody up, and we're all here, if somebody's in a lesser situation, let's make the best of it we can, and hopefully we can take them up a notch, man. So traveling really opened my eyes to that. It's a big world out here, and, you know, be thankful for what you got daily. Nice.
And you know, I do have something that's is sitting on my heart, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway. It's not scripted, and I always find myself, I never like to go off the script, but I'll say this. You know, one thing I've learned over the years, Cook, is this, and I'm just gonna say this because some people used to ask me, was like, hey, Tyrell, the only person you interviewing are Black people from the community? It was like, no, I'm interviewing everybody who cares, period. You know what I mean? Like my guy, Charles Toohey, was on maybe my second or third interview, and he funded a lot of the things that I did with Model. You know what I mean? That's my guy. If I need something, still today, me even living in the DC metro area, you know, I can go to him. You know what I mean? But one thing I learned, and I learned this early, and I probably learned it from George Benson, who is like more family to me than some of my own family. You know what I mean? If you have a heart that's full of compassion, it transcends color.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You have a heart that's full of compassion that goes far beyond color, which has allowed you to connect with a population in Albany or throughout Albany that has kept your consistency the way that it is. And I always tell people that, man, it's not always about just seeing people that look like you. It's about meeting people that have a heart. So I say, if you got a heart of compassion, it's going to outweigh those commonalities that other people have. So I just wanted to say, like I said earlier, give you your flowers while you're still here, because what you've been able to pull off for the amount of years that you have been a GOAT in this is dope. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like LL Cool J. I'm thinking of the GOAT right now. It's kind of like LL Cool J, man. People don't give LL as much of the credit and respect as they really should. That guy has transformed himself through many generations.
Believe that.
And is still looking better than, you know what I mean? So shout out to you, Cook. You know what I mean?
No, Ty, listen, I really do appreciate that. I mean, like I said, the reason why I've always done and do what I do is because of individuals like yourself. I mean, I had the same thing growing up. I had people investing in me. So this is the cycle. The cycle is just continue to invest, generation from generation, just invest. So youth investment was what I was about. And is, you know, what you said, it humbles me a lot, dude. I'm an emotional brother. It humbles me a lot because hearing it from your peers is priceless, you know? And it just sort of cements the foundation of why I do what I do and what I'm doing. And you use compassion a lot. And to me, I'm doing stuff with kids now, compassion versus compression. And the kids are like, what do you mean? And I get into this whole compassion versus compression thing with these kids because they're compressing a lot. I mean, social media time, I mean, in our day, your day, today, this is a, you know, we call this thing, this is like digital heroin. This is it's a drug. And what I'm seeing with this, with our kids, it's like, even my daughter, I try to put it in perspective with kids these days, that most kids have, if you wanted like computer terminology, most kids have a 1 gigabyte brain, but they're getting like 50 to 100 gig put into their brain every darn day because of these devices. And they really can't process and delete files. And you know, we're just overloading our children with so much information. And so this whole compassion versus compression thing that I'm trying to do with kids is, you know, teach them empathy, man, because we're living in such a world where these kids, their moral compass is so off right now, Ty. And it worries me because I'm seeing the moral compass just get worse and worse with a lot of these younger generation kids, though. The investment piece is big with this whole empathy piece and compassion, because that's the foundation of all our lives. Once you can sort of, what's my man Gandhi? I read something with Gandhi and he had said something about calm surrender. And I was like, you know, calm surrender. And he talked about how he judges people was the way they treat the planet and animals. And he said, the way you treat the planet and animals is the way you treat yourself. And I thought about that. And I'm like, man, I see people like littering and just neglecting the planet, and they kick dogs and And I'm saying to myself, man, there's no self-respect there. And it is. It's an outpouring that goes everywhere. So, you know, if we can really just help these kids with the empathy piece more and that compassion piece, buddy, we're on our way. Listen, if I thought that this was a losing battle or whatever, I wouldn't be getting up every day and feeling come on. But I'm more invigorated to do what I'm doing than I ever was, because the resilience in the population I work with, as you know, you can't find that resilience in many places. So when you see that resilience, listen, man, you invest in that resilience, because now we're seeing the fruits of our labor with so many young professionals. It's like, yes, it works. Love works, man. Relationships work. Trust works. And then once they get all that in them and that heart starts to sort of beat and look a little different, then that compassion builds and that empathy builds, then people see the bigger picture and that whole calm surrender piece. You stop acting on emotions and you sort of you're calm with everything. You're starting to think for a change. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff ahead, my man. This is great stuff. I mean, what you're doing is just, you know, every time I see a video and what people are saying, we're all in the same game. We play different positions. You know, we just play different positions, but we got to support the other teammates. And we have to realize that what you're good at, you utilize that skill. What he's good at, utilize what she's good at. Let's start getting these avenues, you know, and categorize things so these kids know that, you know what, there is more than I thought out here. There is a lot of opportunities for me. And
don't feel like you got to be in competition with the people that are around you, because your competition is not limited to Albany. Your competition is globally. And it's just like, listen, man, instead of trying to cut each other down, you know what I mean? Like I said, you will get more. And that's one of the things that, you know, I hated the most about trying to vie for monies when we were running Model. By the grace of God, you know, we did get some nice corporate sponsorship from places like the Gold Foundation, Price Chopper, the Bender family, or Charles Toohey and them. But for a lot of the programs there, they're in a everyday grind to get funding, and a lot of times you have to be fighting and up against people that you like, you love, you admire. So it's like, you know, we end up trying to find ways to cut them down or talk about them to go ahead and we don't. It's not necessary. It's enough room for us all to be successful, and I've learned that over time. You know what I mean? It looks like it's not, but it is.
Collaborations, to me, like I said, there's a big pie out there. Everybody can get a piece, you know? So it doesn't, you know, don't try to, you know, get into that slaughter and start being that pig. No, man, there's a lot of pie out here. So let's find out people can use a piece of that pie, and it's a win-win. It's a win-win for everybody.
Okay. Let me see. I got two more questions for you, Cook, and I'm gonna let you go. What opportunities does Albany offer that you wish you would have taken more advantage of?
Opportunities that Albany offers. Boy, oh boy, brother, that one there. I mean, I think I was so sports oriented, you know, just growing up in my generation, and what I seen, that those dreams of sports was always put on the front burner, and education really wasn't put on the front burner, except for mom and dad saying, go to school, get your homework done, get good grades. To see a lot of the educational opportunities that kids have in schools, like, for example, when I go to Albany High and see, you know, I was an '83 graduate of Albany High, and to see what's offered, and my daughter goes there, you know, and she's a junior, see what's offered to these kids in schools. I know a lot of that was offered back in my generation, but I neglected it because, like I said, my eye was always on that, you know, NFL, Major League Baseball dream, thinking that, you know, you're going to get a scholarship to go to college and play some ball. And, you know, I didn't have that reinforcement and thinking outside the box with other educational opportunities that I should have. So I just think that kids, if they would open their spectrum a little more and realize there is a lot being offered, like you said, now with coding and everything else that these kids are learning in schools. I mean, man, oh man, oh man, when I'm seeing
we got a nanotech university. I mean, yeah. So
think about it. You know, you go up to Wilton, you got one of the biggest chip plants in the Northeast. So it's like, you know, I had opportunities I think I just neglected, and I wish I bought into more. I mean, I was more of an artsy individual too when I went, you know, I went to school for art, you know, and that was my dream. I probably could have explored other avenues in art to open my horizons more. That was probably offered, but I didn't really look that deep into that. So the educational opportunities, I wish I took more advantage of. But I'm not sorry I didn't, because like I said, everything happens for a reason and everything's already pre-written in our worlds. So it made me who I am today. But for the kids, as far as opportunities, and there's a lot out there. I think there's a lot more being offered for a lot more kids, and just open your spectrums up, because the people that did miss out on opening up, we kick ourselves in the rump. I wish we can get a rewind. And I was telling my man the other day, kids think like, they take time for granted. They think it's, there's abundance of it, man. But, as you get older, you find out it's currency, man. It's like currency, and you got to spend it wisely. So we just got to keep reinforcing to these kids that while you get a chance, while you're in this position, where you are in the stage of your life, be open-minded, look for these opportunities and take advantage of them. If you don't like it, at least you can say you tried it.
That's right.
But let's keep offering opportunities. Let's these kids jump into it. So as far as me, it's just a lack of pursuing education away. As I look in hindsight, maybe I could have made some more changes, but it is what it is.
No, I like it. I'm just sitting there thinking about, do you know how many schools and universities the Capital District has alone? And it's crazy. So I'm thinking of two, and on this question, I'm thinking of two different areas. One, politics. The fact that we have, we're the capital, we have so much that goes on right down the street that we, right now, I think it's a lot more people who partake in it, and we're becoming a lot more in tune with what's going on. But imagine having access to all of these things and not knowing how beneficial they were. Imagine us as young kids is like the only place we're going to go play ball is the YMCA on Washington Avenue. Listen, they got ball every Saturday up here at Albany or whatever it is. You got all of these different schools in the area to go visit. Do you know how many schools I visited before I left to go down to Charlotte? It's like Skidmore was my number one choice, to be perfectly honest. Skidmore was my number one choice, but really I didn't know anything about school prior to that. But I'm just like, so now what I tell everybody is like, yo, parents, expose your kids to it. And you don't even got to travel far. We got so many schools just right here. You know what I mean? And my generation, like I said, that wasn't, education. My father was a middle-class dude working as, laborer, man. So that's, you work, you get out of school, you get a job, and you support the family. So, like you just said, like Albany Law School, Ty. When I was a kid, CBA obviously was right next to Albany Law, before I moved up to Latham. And I never knew Albany Law School. I always thought that was an extension of CBA, because nobody ever told me, no, that's Albany Law School right next. I never realized there was an Albany Law School right up in that corner across from Albany Med. To me, that was like all CBA, because nobody grabbed me and said, no, man, this is one of the most prestigious law schools in the Northeast, So, exposure. And like I said, parents you definitely got to embrace it. It's right in our backyard. Yep. Okay. Hey, listen, man. Thanks for surviving through all these questions with me. I got my last question for you, Cook. Are there any resources like apps, books that you're reading, podcasts that you're listening to? What are you listening to? How do you stay engaged?
Podcast wise, to be honest with you, Ty, man, my favorite, Mike Tyson, has a podcast called Hot Boxing. Since day one, I've been on Mike Tyson's Hot Boxing. Number one, because of Mike's connection to our area. Number two, because of Mike's history. So Hot Boxing to me is amazing, because they don't give Mike enough credit. Mike's an intelligent young man. And when you watch his podcast and he goes off on tangents where I sit back and I'm like, my man. So Hot Boxing is and he has an array of different characters and different subjects. So that's something I tell people, man, you can relate to because of Mike, but then again, you're also going to relate to a lot of deep topics, which is very, very good. Books, I mean, I'm a true crime lover, dude, because of what I do. So like true crime to me is everything. So I'm constantly just looking for true crime books, and nothing I'm going to put out there and say, go read this, do that. But I'm a true crime lover when it comes to books, man. And besides that, buddy, I love cooking, and as I age and what I do, and I'm the chef in my household. So, when I'm done here, I'll probably go out to the lounge here with wifey, and I'll look at some videos online of some guy who's in Thailand right now, and he's trying a Thai dish. And so I'm a foodie, man. So I'm into those type of shows too when it comes to that, buddy. So that's where my interests are right now. Obviously, the music is always fun. You know, I'm always into the music scene and checking out my music. Mike is my boy with the hot boxing, and my other stuff is basically watching my food shows and seeing the rest of this world and how they navigate the food industry and how they feed their families and what's good out here.
Okay. Listen, last unofficial question. I know you said you did get a chance to look at some of the other interviews, but one of the questions I always ask everybody at the very end is, if you were to recommend somebody else for me to interview next for Back, who would it be, Cook?
Man, I could give you a list of 400 kids. I mean, just off the top, Ty, Eldon.
Yep.
Big L's doing big things, man. I'm proud of Eldon. Eldon Harris.
He's on there already.
Oh, is he? All right, my bad.
Yeah. I already have him for season 2.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm very proud of my boy Markel Brace. You know,
what do you say? Don't put your health on this. Don't put your health on the shelf.
but just the strides he made,
yep,
and where he's at today and where he's from. Also, as you know, proud of Kel, man. You know, Marky Edmonds, what Mark's
yep,
doing. Man, Deshaun Moore. I mean,
yep,
you know, Malik Nichols. You know, Malik's
yep,
doing big things in the medical field down there. You know, born and raised. Jeez, man. I mean, then kids like Quizza. I mean, my man, little.
I love Quizza's story.
Now, I bring up Quiz and people like that because, you know, when I was trying to get to these kids back in the day when they were in the mix, you know, oh, cool, come on, man. And, you know, it was just that whole, you know, live and learn. And Quiz ended up working with Snug and giving back to the community. And he used to come to teen night as a member of Snug. Yeah. And the conversations we would have and seeing his growth and development side, it was just beautiful, man. So people like that, they have a voice too, man, because, you know, he's down south doing his thing and he's grown up. And his growth and development to me is a testimony of somebody who said, you know what, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. You know, I'm always going to remember where I came from, but it's where I'm going to be at, which is more important, man. So, you know, just great kids like that, man. Antoine Morrison, Twigs is coaching, doing good things with that. But, yeah, man, you're not going to have to reach far. You know what we got in our community, brother.
Okay. Well, listen, man, Back community, thank you for staying tuned in through this interview with Ron Cook Barrett. Cook, like I said, man, I love you like a brother. What you're doing has stood the test of time, and you would have to be put up there among the GOATs, just like my man LL Cool J, because not only have you done it, but you are aging gracefully, my man. So and to be able to do it from generation to generation and still stay up with all of us youngins. I ain't even younger no more. I'm pushing 40. So to be able to stay up with all of these generations, shout out to you, brother. Shout out to your compassionate heart and your desire to give back and stay connected. And I wish you continued success as you continue to do that, because as you mentioned earlier, what you are doing is social work. And I think that is, those in social work should be paid way more than just like educators, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because you have the capacity to touch and help steer and direct the lives and the minds of people, which is way more powerful than a lot of other tools. So shout out to you, brother.
I really appreciate you, bro. You know, listen, I say I love you like a son because of our relationship that goes back to those days when you were a youngin' down in Lincoln Park. But like I said earlier, I'm proud of you. Thank you for doing what you're doing, because I think this is important for the community to be able to see and sort of slow down a little bit and see that there are some roses in the cement out here, and there are people that are in the trenches doing it for the right reasons. So I appreciate you showcasing everybody. You know, like I said, I'm beyond proud of your growth and development, my brother. Your family is beautiful. I'm so happy that you're happy. And, you know, we're going to stay in touch and do what we do. But kudos once again, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much, man. Cook, I'll play catch up with you next time, brother.
All right. Love you. Talk to you soon.
All right, Peace.
Bye-bye. Peace.